Hey guys, welcome to my channel Glen. My name's Glenn and I like to share with you what I've learned in the world of cryptocurrency as I go through it. So today is going to be a slightly different video because I'm actually going to discuss some of my investments that are not crypto related, which obviously is what I normally talk about on this video. If you like that sort of content, please smash the like and click the subscribe button if you're new to this channel. We're also going to have a look at those investments, what their risk to reward ratios I believe they are, and you guys can join in with me and comment down below in what you agree or disagree with in my investments going forward. So let's get right into it. So as you guys know, about 2 years ago I joined into the world of cryptocurrency and I actually bought in Bitcoin around about when it was about $7,000. This was 2.5 years ago. Obviously since then we've had a massive big run up when it went up to 20,000, but then it dropped down to sort of $3,500, and then since then it's sort of been bouncing between sort of $4,000 to $7,000, which we've just had a breakout of within the last few days. But when I actually first got involved into cryptocurrency, I had no idea of how to invest my money. I just going through a divorce. I'd been bankrupt just a couple of years before that. I was going through a court case for my children. Not giving a sob story, but just my finances were all over the place. I wasn't quite sure how much I was going to have at the end of the month. I didn't know where to spend it. I didn't know where to save it, where to put it. And I just sort of thought, you know what, I'm going to leave that on the back burner. I'm just going to sort out everything else in my life. And then once I get back to it, I'll sit down and properly do some research. So I got involved into cryptocurrency and I had about probably £600, something like that, into Bitcoin, which obviously was at sort of $7,000 at the time or something like that. So I had sort of 10% of a Bitcoin. I remember that I always used to say I want one whole Bitcoin just for my personal OCD. And that was my goal. And all I wanted to do was either mine or accumulate more Bitcoin. Now at the time I thought, well, I ain't got much money, so I'm not going to be able to accumulate one whole Bitcoin. And the price was going up and up and up. So I thought, oh, what other ways can I do it? And obviously I tried to trade Bitcoin because it was going up every day. Like literally I would try and guess which coin was going to go up faster than Bitcoin. So Litecoin, Ethereum, XRP, whatever coin it was on sort of the Exodus wallet at the time, or even in my Coinbase app. And then I actually moved on to obviously looking into mining equipment. So doing mining through Genesis and through Hashflare, like online mining. Then obviously I looked into doing my own mining, and I even looked into ICOs that involved mass scale mining, which obviously brought me on to Envium, which you guys all know about that have watched my videos for a while. You know the saga that went on with Envium. But with all of these, my main goal was to accumulate more Bitcoin. Now, if I had gone back in time and this Glenn told sort of 2.5 year younger Glenn, this is the best way to buy Bitcoin, I would say, look, buy what you can afford now, set up a standing order from your bank into Coinbase's app, whatever you think you can afford, even if it's £10 a week, £10 a month, whatever it may be. Set that standing order up and just keep buying it in dribs and drabs along the way. And if I told myself that 2 years ago, who knows, I would probably have a lot more Bitcoin than I have now. So lessons learned. But then obviously I started thinking about investments in general. I started thinking about, well, I haven't really got a pension in place. I'm self-employed. How do I put money aside for my kids? How do I put money aside for myself? And this brought me on to a lot more deeper thinking into how can I get my money now to work for me so that it benefits me later on in life. Now I'm sure many of you watching this video may think the same thing. The general demographic of these videos are men aged between 25 to 45. I'm not saying that's everyone, but that's the majority of people that watch these type of videos. So you're probably thinking the same sort of things that I'm thinking. Well, how can I get my money to work for me so that it benefits me later on in life? What I've done over the last 2 years is obviously got all my debt sort of cleared off. I've sort of caught up with what I'm paying in CSA payments, and the divorce is all done, the bankruptcy's over, everything's all sort of done and dusted. So it's now I'm in a better position in life to be able to sit back. Something that I have always been good at is looking at my bills every month. I actually put everything on an Excel spreadsheet. I look at it and say, right, this is what I've got coming in, this is what I've got going out, I need this much to break even, yada, yada, yada. So I've always been very clear with, okay, I need to break even, this is what I need to break even, and this is what I would need to get back, this is what I've got going out. I've always been very good at that, and a lot of people always ask me, actually, Glenn, can you come and help me with my bills? And I'm very good at sort of ringing up and saying, can I reduce my bills? Can I lower my tariffs? Stuff like that. It means that over the course of the last few years, I've actually sought less and less money into general living costs overall. I don't go out drinking anymore, I don't gamble, I don't typically smoke, I don't do any drugs. So now I'm thinking, well, what am I going to do with sort of the spare money that I have left over each? So this has brought me on to obviously either buy more cryptocurrency, or do I sort of spread myself out a bit? And for the last, obviously, 5 weeks, we all know that there's been obviously a pandemic around the world, and a lot of things dropped in price. And this isn't just cryptocurrency, but stocks, shares, cost of oil, gold, even gold dropped for some reason. Employment's gone up, housing has gone down as well. So there's been a lot of things affected by what's happening around the world. Even if you just search Google now, housing market crash, and there's all these articles posted today, so they're quite recent, about housing market's going to crash, the stock market's going to be obliterated, it's going to go into a mass depression, we're in a recession at the moment, people just don't realise, we're going to have another big dip day, the end of the collapse of 2020. So it goes on and on and on. Even Bitcoin, you can find negative articles about how the price of Bitcoin is going to drop in value. Now, obviously, most of you come in here will be like, I really like cryptocurrency. I believe in the fundamentals and I think it's got a lot of potential. We've got the halvening coming up, which is all good and fine. But what will tend to happen is people will probably buy Bitcoin before the halvening happens, and then once they realise they don't become a millionaire overnight, once the halvening happens, they're probably going to sell, so then there's going to be a drop in price, and then we may see a steady increase going forward from that. Now, I believe in Bitcoin long-term wise, and I have actually set up a standing order to buy Bitcoin every single week. Every single week I buy some Bitcoin, and I'm quite happy with the amount that I'm buying in. Same with stocks and shares. I've actually got 4 different types of investment, 4 different assets that I've invested in. I'm going to share that with you guys today. I know with a lot of YouTubers, they don't tend to show what they've got invested in stuff because obviously it's quite personal. But I don't mind sharing that information. I've got nothing to hide. I don't hide anything. I don't, when it comes to the tax man or CSA or whatever else it is, I tend to not shy away from, I'll tell you what I would tell them. But these are my assets that I've got, and these are the ones that I believe going forward will sort of do me in good stead. So I've actually put these in sort of a ordering of high risk to low risk and high reward to low reward. If we look at the assets that I'm currently holding, I've written Bitcoin. I believe Bitcoin is a high risk. It could go to zero. It could crash. It could someone could hack it one day. It may get banned in certain countries. So it has sort of a high risk at the moment. But the rewards can be quite high as well. Hex is a altcoin that I'm currently investing in, and I believe that to be very high risk. That is a very new coin. I don't quite know how it's going to pan out. You have to trust the people behind it. Very high volatility because the price is so low at the moment. So will that drop back down? I don't know. But then on the flip side, the risks are also, the rewards, are very high with it. It could quite easily double, triple, quadruple in price very quickly and very suddenly. But then it can also drop quite quickly as well. Now, stocks and shares, I've written a medium risk, but then there's also a medium reward. So I believe that stocks have actually done me pretty well in the last few weeks. But saying that, obviously the next couple of weeks going forward, if the lockdowns get pushed back and further, we may see stocks coming down even further from where they are, which means I would have lost money on them. Housing, I would say, has a housing market has a low risk because I believe there's always going to be a need for housing, whether the rent goes up or down, or the house prices go up or down, I believe the demand is going to be there. People are still going to need somewhere to live for their families. So I believe housing to be a good low risk investment, if you like. Now, I say this is someone that has a very high appetite for risk. I used to be quite a heavy gambler, so I'm quite used to just going all in on the spin of a roulette or a blackjack hand, which some of my friends would be like, no, if I'd lost 50 quid in a night, I'd be devastated. Whereas I wouldn't mind losing like 5 grand in one night. It wouldn't sort of play too much on my mind. So my appetite for risk is very high. You may be watching this thinking, my appetite for risk is very low. I don't really want to risk too much. So therefore you may head towards the stocks and shares market, or even try and invest some money into a buy-to-let housing market. But if your appetite for risk is very high, you may be more interested in investing in Bitcoin or an altcoin or something like along those lines, because they involve very little time but can have very high rewards. So I've actually put in this list as well, I don't know if you can see in this third column, total money invested. So this is the money that I've put into this project. We'll start with Bitcoin. I originally put in £550 worth of Bitcoin, and that has been made up of me just investing £50 as a standing order over the last probably 7 weeks or so. When the price of Bitcoin went down recently, I thought, right, this is the time to buy in. So all of these within a sort of the last couple of months. So you can't say, oh yeah, but that's because you bought that one then and this one then. I bought all of these roughly the same sort of time, within the sort of couple of week period. So Bitcoin 550, Hex I've actually put 800 in by the time I worked out the cost of Ethereum and transferred it over. Then we have stocks and shares. I put about 550 into that, and I'll actually show you my portfolio in a second. And then housing market, 65,000. Now that has actually been made up with me and a partner, with a consortium of people that have invested into it. So that isn't 65 grand completely out of my pocket. So if you're thinking, oh my God, Glenn, if you've got 65 grand, why don't you just put that all in Bitcoin or all in Hex if you believe in them? But that is actually someone else's money. So that's me and them putting in together. So let's have a little look of what they're worth currently at the moment. So I've put here Bitcoin 642. If we go over to my Coinbase account, you can see here 648. It's gone up since I've been typing up that and doing this video. For me, is quite a good return in a short period of time. I've literally gained £100 in the last couple of weeks from Bitcoin alone. Obviously that can drop, so that could drop tomorrow, so it's not something I even think or worry about. For the last 6 months to a year, I've tend to not worried about what the price of Bitcoin is. I just like to put money into it every single week. I don't care whether it goes up or down. I'm thinking more long term, in the future, sort of 5 to 10 years down the line, this sort of amount of Bitcoins that I own hopefully will be worth a lot more. So I don't really care whether it's worth 6,000 today or 12,000 today. It wouldn't bother me. It wouldn't change my buying in or cashing out decisions. I would just continuously keep putting money into Bitcoin. Hex, obviously, you may say, well, Glenn, why have you invested more money in Hex than you have in Bitcoin? And that's because I was actually messing about with the Hex platform, and originally I put in about £400. And then I actually, there was a dip there, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to buy some more of that because I would accumulate more of it than I would have done if I bought on it on another day. So I actually put in another £400. So I actually have £800 worth of Hex, or invested, sorry, into Hex. As of today, though, I believe that Hex to be worth between the region of 1,700 to all the way to 2.2. And that is because I've had a look at their Hex Uniswap app, what they would give me for it. And I've also had a look at this bid desk or buy desk, whatever you want to call it. This is one of the exchanges that you can buy and sell it on. The trouble is, every time I look at it, it either goes up quite quickly. Currently, it's saying that just over half a cent before I started recording this video. So that's my figures are probably way out already. Based on my figures earlier, it was sort of 40% of a cent, so 0.0042 something. So it's gone up already. So that's quite a hard one to keep track of because the price of it keeps fluctuating so much. Stocks and shares. So I actually spent about 2 or 3 weeks looking into stocks and shares platforms. In the UK, we tend to have sort of 2 or 3 big main ones. One of them's Halifax and one of them's, I can't remember the name of the other one, but they charge you per trade. So every time you want to buy a stock, you have to pay something like £12 or something like that for. Plus you have to pay them a percentage a year, and then if you want to ever sell them, you pay 12 quid. So you need to make £24 on a trade on a stock or share before you even take a bit of profit out. So I started looking at some of the free share sort of apps that are out at the moment that have sort of followed the lead from Robinhood in America. And I know in America your popular ones are Robinhood and Webull, but in the UK we don't have either of those at the moment, so I was really unsure what to do. And I first came across one called Free Share or something like that, an app, but their one, they were very limited on what you could actually invest in, and their platform seemed hard to use. So I actually came across this one called Trading 212. Now, if you're watching cryptocurrency type videos on YouTube, you may have seen one of their adverts pop up, but I find that this is a very easy to use platform. It means you can invest into stocks and shares market very easily. They cover the American markets as well as the UK ones, so you can buy sort of those big companies that you've always sort of followed, like Apple, Netflix, Facebook, Tesla, Amazon, as well as buying into UK markets as well. So this is my portfolio. Now, as I showed you earlier, I have actually invested all in total in the stock market £550. Now, when you join up to Trading 212, they actually give you this option where if you share a referral code out to people where it says join to Trading 212, I can get a free share when someone signs up to it. And they also get a free share as well. Now, when I signed up to this, I didn't click on anyone's link or anything. So I didn't get no free shares. I just put in my own money. I'd wish I'd followed somebody else's link so that I would have got a free share then. But apparently I can have 20 free shares. I've probably used about 12 of those. So I reckon I've probably got about 8 left. I will put the link to it in the description down below. If you want to click on that link and head over to Trading 212, by all means use that link. Don't if you don't want to. I'm not recommending them. It's just that I personally find this quite an easy to use platform. It looks quite complicated on the screen here, but actually I use a lot of it on my iPhone. There's a really easily laid out. They also create a UK ISA account, which is a sort of tax-free savings account through stocks and shares. I think you can earn something like £2,000 a year in dividends for free. So if you buy any shares of companies that pay you a dividends, that's what I'm looking at, you get sort of tax-free payouts per year or an allowance per year, and they do that all for you. You just have to put in your name, address and national insurance number. So that's Trading 212. These are the sort of companies that I've been investing in: Boeing, Under Armour, National Grid, Carnival, Walt Disney, AMD, Delta Airlines, Coca-Cola, McDonald's, Hewlett Packard, Uber Technologies, Barclays, Lloyds and Vanguard. Now, if you actually look on this bottom right hand corner, you'll see that my account value is worth £912. That's because every time that I've recommended it, I've got a free share. So my 550 quite quickly went up to about 650, 700. Plus, on the flip side of that, when the coronavirus first hit, all the share prices went down sort of 30, 40, 50%. Some of them even dropped sort of like 70%. I actually invested in some of these companies. So because they've gone back up sort of like 10, 20%, I've gained money very quickly through the stocks and shares market. Now, obviously, I'm used to very high volatility being in the cryptocurrency space. So sort of 10% here and there on stock markets, it didn't faze me at all. I just bought in at a very good price. And again, the way that I've actually got to this value as well is I'm investing every week. So I only actually started with about £300, and I've just put in sort of £50 a week over the last couple of weeks, and I've obviously got that up to about 550, 600. But because the share prices have gone up, it's now up to £900. So in terms of percentage wise, this has been a very good one for me, and with this you can cash out straight away. I haven't got to wait for it. That's a good sort of medium risk, medium reward, I believe. And then the other one is a house that I've bought sort of separately, not just a residential house, but a buy to let house. So I've bought it with the intention of renting it out to tenants. It actually completed while this pandemic was going on, so I got lucky there that it actually went through. But I purchased the property and I haven't been able to do anything with it since, which has been a bit frustrating. But my plan is to go in there, renovate it so that the house increases in value, and then I can rent it out long term wise. But I plan to remortgage it as a buy to let at that point. So therefore I should be able to get, if not all, most of my money back out instantly. So I'm 100% ROI, my return on investment, 100%. And then I'm earning something like 8% a year through the rental side of it. So they're my different investments that I've got going on at the moment. All of them I'm pretty much up on, so I haven't done too bad. And I haven't fudged these figures. I've shown you my Coinbase account. I've shown you my Trading 212 account. I'm being as honest and transparent as I possibly could be. I probably shouldn't show you guys this much, but there you go. That's what I've decided to do. So now I'm looking at passive income. So from me holding my Bitcoin, I earn 0 passive income. Now I can earn some if I was to send it to a third-party platform like Nexo, Cellulus, Crypto.com. You can start earning interest. Typically though, these involve you buying either their token, their coin, and you have to stake it or something like that, because they earn profit from you buying that, and also they lend the money out. So you have to hope that nothing goes wrong there, I suppose. Then obviously if the price drops too much, then it could be a case that you have to pay them a certain amount of money back plus interest. So it gets a little bit messy. So I don't actually do anything. I just hold this in a wallet. I don't touch it. I don't transfer it. Nothing. So I earn nothing from Bitcoin, apart from the fact that it's gone up in value. So it's a good store of value. And as we've seen actually, with obviously stocks and shares dropping so rapidly recently, Bitcoin has outperformed any of those. Bitcoin has stayed steady for a long time now, and it's actually risen in price over the last week or so. So compared to stocks, which have gone the other way, Bitcoin has well outperformed all of those. So I'm very happy with Bitcoin's performance. Hex, obviously I invested in Hex when the price was something like 0.001918, something like that. So I have bought in at when it was at 20% of 1 cent, which now, as you've just seen, is now at sort of half a cent. So I've more than doubled my money, which actually reflects well in my total costs, total profits. But then also you can stake the coin. Now I haven't gone on and got exact figures from their website, but what I've done is I've actually gone as if I was going to stake some coin for 31 days, which is a month, and I believe you would get a 26% return on investment on top of your original stake of 26%, which is really, really good. You think over obviously the course of 12 months, that's well into the 300% mark. The way that the Hex platform works though, the longer you stake for, the higher the reward. So I could actually increase that if I was to invest it over 3, 6, 9, 12 months, even longer. But obviously, again, you'll have your coins locked up. You can withdraw them whenever you like, but there is some small penalties for doing that. Sometimes them penalties are just literally the interest that you would have incurred anyway, so actually you're still up. But if you sort of start staking and then taking them out really quickly, then you can be penalised and your capital can be eaten into. And obviously the housing, I can't really show you the house. I can include a clip here somewhere of me walking around the house that I've actually just purchased, actually, if you want to. But with the sort of 550 a month that I'm looking to rent out, minus the mortgage costs, I believe that I'm going to be sort of earning 8% a year on my total invested into the project. So I'm very happy with that. If that happens, obviously once this lockdown ends, it's a very odd time because I don't know if the housing market's going to crash. I don't know if the stock market's going to crash. I don't know if Bitcoin's going to crash. I don't know if Hex is going to crash. So all of these involve some sort of risk. Even if you was to put your money under your bed and just store it as cash underneath there, your kids could come in and start ripping it up, could throw it out the window, pour glue on it. Someone could burgle your house could be on fire and you lose everything. So there's even risk to just storing money under the bed. So there's nothing that's 100% fail-safe proof investment. But these are the ones that I've chose to invest in. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to keep an eye on this sort of every 3 to 6 months. And I'm going to try and do another video for you guys with, look, this is what my portfolio's doing at the moment. Here's what I said when I first got involved. Now, the good thing about me showing you guys this now is that I've bought all these recently. The house only just completed 5 weeks ago. The stocks and shares have only been buying over the last 5 weeks. Hex only started investing in about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. And Bitcoin I've been buying for the last 6 to 7 weeks. So they're all within the same time period. You can't blame it on the coronavirus or say, yeah, but you only done well because of this, this and this. I've invested in all 4 of these pretty much at the same time. So this gives me a good basis to show you over the next 3 to 6 months what's going to perform the best. So I'd be interested to hear your thoughts, guys. What do you think? We're looking at this. Do you think, right, Glenn, I believe Bitcoin's going to be your best performer. Hex is going to be your best performer. Or I reckon the house is going to go up in price. Or, oh yeah, them shares that you've bought. The shares that I've bought, I've tried to buy companies that I know and have heard of and that I sort of not trust, but I think they're going to stick around. So this is why I've put a medium risk to reward ratio for my stocks and shares. Obviously, you can invest in really risky companies and startups and stuff like that, which obviously carry more risk but then more reward. Like I've invested in Carnival and Delta Airlines. Now, depending on how long lockdown goes on for, some of these companies like Delta Airlines, they actually announce, look, we've got enough to last us until sort of August, September time. If it goes past that, then we're going to go broke. Carnival is the cruise ship company, largest one in America. I think it's one of the largest in the world. They obviously were struck really hard because of everything that happened with the virus and with people not being able to get off boats in their own country, which was crazy. So yeah, they've been hit really hard. So I would say they're my riskiest stocks that I have. The rest are all pretty much like, I know they're going to stick about for a little while. Portfolio so far. If I'm being honest, then my best investment so far was Hex and then the stock market. But that's because I bought in obviously at the dip. Some people obviously would own stocks before the crash happened. And say if they held Bitcoin, they would say, well, Bitcoin's my best performer because it's gone up in price, everything else has gone down. Yeah, it all depends when you did it. But I'm talking from when I bought in at the same period for all 4 of these investments. So far, Hex has been the best performer, then stocks, then the Bitcoin, and then obviously I don't know what's happening with the housing market because the whole of the housing market in the UK is at a pause at the moment. No one can move, buy, sell. So yeah, it's all up in the air. So we'll see what happens with that. So I'm going to do another video like this, guys, just sort of now that I've run through the basics of me and obviously how I got to these investments. I'll be able to do a quicker video sort of in maybe 3 months time, just saying, look, do you remember when I said that I've got this much? Well, now I actually have this amount and it's worth this amount. So we can look at it and say in percentages that actually now that has been the best performer. We have the halvening coming up. Obviously no one knows what's happening with stocks and shares. Hex is on the rise every day, and we don't know what's happening with the housing market. So if you're sort of like really interested in keeping up to date with what's going to happen with these investments, please click the subscribe button down below. Also smash that like button. I'm going to put links to my Trading 212 referral link. I have only got like another 8, I think, free shares links. I did message them and said, look, can I get some more? And they said, no, once you hit 20, that's it. But if people use your link, they get the free share. So it's probably the case that by the time you watch this video, if you click the link to the Trading 212, you will get the free share. I won't get anything from it, but at least you get something for free. So hopefully I'm helping you out. I'll also put a link to the Hex website if you want to check that out. Read all of their tech specs. You can read the audits that's been done on them. And if you decide to invest, then that's entirely up to you. Bitcoin, obviously, if you're in the UK, probably the most popular way to buy Bitcoin is through Coinbase. The link to that will be down below as well. And I have no link for you to buy a house other than probably in the UK, rightmove.co.uk. And I don't think you would buy that just on a link anyway. But yeah, please comment down below. What do you think of my portfolio? What do you think of am I spread out enough diverse wise? Or do you think that I need to look at some other assets? I am looking at gold, but I'm very skeptical about how the ownership of the gold is and whether I've got a right to that if something was to crash and burn. Obviously, the best way to do it, I suppose, is buy the Bitcoin and get it in my house somehow. Pick the gold. So yeah, I'm just looking at ways of doing that at the moment, and also some silver as well. So I'm just trying to accumulate as much assets as I can so that going forward, by the time I'm 65, something like that, 60, I can cash these all in and say, right, paid off the house, let's go on a massive long cruise or holiday, let's go travelling, let's pay for the kids' university, let's pay for them for their first car, and then I can sort of live an easy life. So that's what I'm hoping to do. If that's what you're looking to do, then follow me and we'll talk about it again in a few months' time. See you later, guys. Bye.